Flying for Liberty, fast, loud, and free. Good morning, everyone. This is David Costa, your Renegade Aviator, and you can call us toll-free right now, 855-790-8255, and find us on Facebook. That's Flying for Liberty / or Facebook.com/Flying for Liberty. Online, flyingforliberty.com. And, you know, we express our liberty by flying fast jets. How do you express your liberty? And remember our outreach program. If you have a school or a group that would like to learn more about liberty and what you can do to protect it for the next generation to come, contact me. But for now, join our conversation, 855-790-8255. I want to start out with a quote from somebody you might recognize.
Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
Do you remember that guy? What a difference from today. You know, there's 10 things that you can't do today that you could do back in 1975. I'll just give you a couple of them. You can get the rest of this list online at facebook.com/Flying for Liberty. But did you know that you could buy an airline ticket back in 1975 without ever showing an ID? How about you could buy cough syrup back in 1975 without showing an ID? What about buying and selling gold coins or buying a gun without showing an ID back in 1975? You could even pull out or put in as much cash as you wanted into your bank account, and it was nobody's business. Today, the Department of Homeland Security wants you to fill out a form because they want you to prove where you got your money. You could even buy cigarettes without showing an ID back then, and you know what? You could have a phone conversation without the government knowing who you called and who called you. Join our conversation and look at your life today. Are you still free, or is this just an illusion? Was freedom always an illusion, or are we seeing the end of liberty? Do we still believe that the government should stay out of our lives, or have we become secure in the belief, like sheep being led to the slaughter, that the safety net of mommy government is there for us? What do you think? Today, a bit of a history lesson for the sheep and for those that aren't sheep, brought full circle. What does the Stamp Act of 1965 have to do with the Patriot Act of today? A lot of us weren't even taught about this in school. A lot of us don't even have education about American history anymore in school, at least not the way it should be taught. But I'm going to introduce to you today Judge Andrew Napolitano, and I'm taking part of his speech to the Liberty Foundation. Judge Napolitano has been a Superior Court judge, federal judge in actually part of the state of New Jersey, and has received an undergraduate degree from Princeton University and is Juris Doctor from the University of Notre Dame. He is a constitutional expert. So let's start off with the Stamp Act and how this relates to the Patriot Act today. Cut one.
When we were colonists and the king wanted to raise money from us, he and the parliament had ingenious ways of doing it. And one of the ways that they raised money was to enact the Stamp Act. And the Stamp Act required that every piece of paper in your possession, a book, a pamphlet, a lease, a deed, a mortgage, even a poster you were going to nail to a tree, had to have a stamp on it with the king's image. You think it was rough going to a post office? This was a foreign post office run by the king in the colonies, and you had to go there and get these stamps. Question: how did the king know that his image was on every piece of paper in your possession? Answer: the Parliament enacted something called the Writs of Assistance Act. This horrible piece of legislation authorized British soldiers to write their own search warrants. So a British soldier would show up at your door in New York or New Jersey or Pennsylvania or Delaware and handwrite out authority which authorized him to enter your house, ostensibly to look for the stamps. There was no judge involved. There was no evidence that you didn't have the stamps. There was no evidence that you had any documents that required the stamps. He was just permitted to enter, and while there, take what he wanted. Rum from the islands without a tax stamp, you can't prove you paid the tax on it, we're going to confiscate it. furniture from the mother country. You can't prove you paid a tariff on it. We're going to confiscate it. By the way, we have 15 soldiers that need a good hot meal and a place to stay tonight. We're taking over your farmhouse. Enough was enough.
Bunch of old white guys wearing wigs back in those days. They didn't know what they were even talking about. No warrant, the police state, the ability of the government to look through your stuff, to go on a fishing expedition without a warrant, the ability of the government to find any other kind of law you may have broken without probable cause. People, the Constitution was devised for a reason. Make no mistake, government is power, and liberty requires that power be kept in check. Next clip, please.
Fought a revolution. We won the revolution. We wrote a constitution. And the whole purpose of the Constitution was to keep the government off the people's backs.
We fought a revolution to keep the government off our backs. We wanted the government to mind their business and stay out of ours. Look where we are today. Next clip.
The only reason the Constitution was enacted was because of the promise that the Bill of Rights would be part of it. So it is enacted, it is debated in 87, it's enacted in 89, and in 91 the Bill of Rights is added.